You're listening to Blue Radio, bringing the vibe.
The blue economy. We've been talking about the blue economy, this and that. What are some of the businesses or some of the ideas you can come up with to be part of the blue economy? And the most obvious thing is fishing, right? Because we are talking about making sure we use the ocean and sustain it and use the resources provided by the ocean. So at the end of it, fishing is one of the practices. And the best, but then we can fish and still not conserve the ocean because there are cases of overfishing. So maybe we can talk about practices, the best fishing practices that we can apply to be able to be in line with the blue economy. And one of it is just know your fish. And what do I mean by this? I mean, know the type of fish that you're targeting, okay? Their behavior and their life cycle. And this will help you to make informed decisions about when and where to fish and what gear and techniques to use, okay? You should be aware of any size or catch limits in your area and follow them to prevent overfishing. We've had cases of overfishing, and we've had even some of the countries restrict people from fishing in some areas because you might be making some of these species extinct. And we don't want that to happen. We want them to keep multiplying. So knowing their life cycle will help you know that at this point is where, and their behavior, you'll know maybe this is the time where they breed, this is the time where there are a lot of fish, so maybe this is when I should actually make sure that I fish more than the times where they are not as many as other times. So just knowing their behavior and just knowing the life cycle is one of the most important things. And fishermen should also consider the health and abundance of the fish species they are targeting. Certain fish populations can become overfished, making them vulnerable to collapse. And that's what I've just said right now. And of course, you can use selective fishing gear. So this helps reduce bycatch, which is more of the unintentional capture of non-targeted species. Let's say you were targeting a tuna, okay? And then you end up getting a catfish or something like that. You are not targeting the catfish. You were targeting the tuna. So that will be a bycatch. It won't be a necessary catch. So you will use, it's advisable to use a selective fishing gear that helps you become intentional. Remember, this life, everything is about intentionality. So even if you're fishing, how intentional are you? Or are you just going to catch anything that comes by? So using a selective fishing gear will help you catch the targeted species that you want. And this, of course, has a significant impact on the population of the sea creatures. So if you if you are intentional about your fishing gear, that means if you were to catch a certain species of fish, then you will leave others to continue breeding, continue populating the ocean. So that means there will be a populous species in the ocean. So those are some of the measures that you can use. You can always use if you're not planning on keeping the fish you catch, you can consider practicing catch and release. This involves releasing the fish back into the water unharmed after catching it. Make sure to handle the fish gently and quickly and use barbless hooks to make the release easier. This helps conserve fish populations and ensure they can continue reproducing. Catch and release is especially important for large fish species that may take many years to mature and reproduce. By releasing these fish, we can help ensure that they continue contributing to the population and maintaining genetic diversity. Of course, and there are other things like avoiding destructive fishing practices, which may distract the marine ecosystem and habitats. For example, bottom trawling can damage seafloor habitats, and that is where there's food. That's where some of these species live. Some of these destructive fishing practices are some of things that we can avoid. Even there are people who use explosives or chemicals that can harm other marine life. So it's very important to avoid these practices and opt for more sustainable alternatives, which include using fishing gear that is harmless or less harmful to marine habitats, such as trap fishing or a hook and line. These methods are more selective and can also reduce bycatch, making them more sustainable options for fishing. But in conclusion, fishing is very important as a part of the blue economy. As we've said, it's the most obvious idea or that is part of the blue economy, but it's also important to practice a sustainable and responsible fishing practice. And that is all about the blue economy. Sustainability is what we are looking at the end of the day. How sustainable is your method? How sustainable is your idea? So when we follow these best practices, we can help conserve fish populations and ensure a thriving marine environment for generations.